Hey guys, Cameron here. I want to have an unfiltered conversation. A couple of weeks ago, Informa Markets recently announced that they're launching a new expo called the Sustainable Manufacturing Expo. And to get that new expo off its feet, or on its feet, they're going to be collocating the show with two other manufacturing events, IME West and MD&M West in Anaheim, California in 2025. And when I saw that, a question popped into my mind, and I think it's worthwhile to pursue and explore what the answer might be. And that question is collocating shows and events, which means, holding them in the same location and at the same time, is that good or bad for exhibitors? On the face of it, the benefits for the show organizers and for the attendees seems pretty clear. For one thing, you have increased participation, which boosts overall attendance numbers. So that's good for the show organizers. Another good thing for the show organizers is that it helps with logistics. Instead of spreading the events out throughout the year, they have everything at one place in one location, and so they really just got to prepare for the big one, I guess you could say. Another benefit for the show organizers too is, again, it just makes it easier to plan. But for the attendees, it's also really good for them because they have a lot more educational resources to choose from. They also have a lot more networking opportunities to choose from as well, as you get this kind of cross-pollination. Again, when you collocate the shows, they're not direct competitors. Some of them, they have different, but it's related to the industry. So a good example would be two shows collocating would be the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show and IBS, the International Builder Show. They're both in the residential sphere and construction sphere, but they have slightly different focuses. Kitchen and Bath is about kitchen and bath, and IBS is more for the people who are, building homes and stuff. And but when you put them together, which they did after the pandemic, it has increased a lot of the opportunities for both the attendees and the show organizers. But I also think for the exhibitors as well. So let's get down to some of what I see are the benefits of collocating shows together specifically for exhibitors. The first is that exhibitors actually save on travel and lodging and other expenses when these events come together, because instead of having to buy multiple flights now to go to these other, multiple big shows, they just got one. So you save immediately on travel and lodging. Including that is probably also, food and other expenses. So that's the first benefit for exhibitors. Another benefit that I would say for exhibitors is that they also have more opportunities for cross-industry pollination, and they may actually get potential customers that would not traditionally have been thought to be their ideal customer profile. So it's a way for them to, at the same time, target their ideal customers, but also test new markets. So that's another potential benefit for exhibitors when these shows come together and collocate. Another one would be that exhibitors, they can, I would say it boosts their overall foot traffic as well at the shows too, since there's more attendees. But there are some things, I think, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are a couple of things that I think exhibitors should be aware of and should plan for when their favorite event is paired with another related event. And one of the first things that exhibitors should take into consideration is that there might be the challenge of a diluted focus. So just as cross-pollinating, with other industry shows that are related to a different sector in their industry, that can be a good and a bad thing if we don't plan properly for it, because it can dilute the focus. So you can get foot traffic and people visiting your booth who are not your ideal customer profile, and they're not going to be, they wouldn't benefit in any way. So you've got to make sure you plan ahead what your questions are going to be when you're in your booth, to be able to qualify when you're talking to someone whether or not they're in need of your products and services or not, and then work on your ability to close the question off and move on to the next conversation. So be wary of the diluted focus. Another thing to plan ahead for is overcrowding. So when the shows come together, yes, you get more attendance, more participation, but if your registration desk is not up to date and it's not super fast, then you could have longer lines as you're trying to get through the door. You could have overcrowding. So what you need to do, and also with overcrowding for exhibitors, is it means that there are more exhibitors, which means standing out is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So you have to be going into a show that has partnered with other shows. You have to make sure you know what your message is. You have to clarify your message. And here, when you clarify your message, think of three things. Think about who you are, what you do, and what you do best. Sticking to those 3 points in your exhibit design and your booth graphics and your messaging is going to help a lot for you to qualify attendees even when they're just walking on the floor, because they'll be able to see, just based on your booth and just based on your messaging, that's for me or that's not for me. The other thing that you have to look after with these shows and exhibiting at these shows is that you have to make sure that your brand identity is crystal clear. So similar to what I just mentioned with messaging, but what that is that you have to make sure that you're also eliminating in your messaging that you're not related to these other sectors. So you got to get crystal clear again on who you are and what you do. The other thing with overcrowding is that there could be challenges with booking travel that you have to be aware of, so book ahead of time. And really, I think that you'll be fine if you plan ahead. You plan ahead on the travel and lodging, you plan ahead with your exhibit design, and you plan ahead on what your goals are for the show. And that will really help out. Another thing to consider is, when it comes to planning ahead, is that lead times in this industry have, since the lockdowns and since the pandemic, lead times have gotten longer. So if you are going to go to the show with a custom build, a custom exhibit, speak with your vendor 6 months out before the event and start having conversations with them about what your goals are for the show, what you want to accomplish, what message you want to send to them, because it's taking longer times in our industry with supply chain issues to build the exhibits, ship them out, install them before and after the show. But that's it. That's all I have for this this topic. If you have thoughts also related on whether or not collocating events is good or bad for exhibitors, please drop a comment down below, and we want to hear what you have to say and hear your thoughts. Another thing is, do you like this format, this unfiltered conversation? Because I don't have anything I'm reading off of or anything. I'm just going off the top of my head. I mean, I've written about some of these topics before, but I don't have a script that I'm following. If you enjoyed this unfiltered conversation, let us know so we can do more content like this. The other thing is, if you are an exhibitor and you're going to an event and your event has partnered with another event and you need help standing out, we have a link in the comments where you can get connected to one of our experts. And we're not just design experts, we're also very strategic in how we are going to plan the execution for your event so you can get as much quality foot traffic possible, not just foot traffic. Finally, if you like this, please like and subscribe. We recently have a new video called the Top 8 Pet Trade Shows. So check that out on our YouTube channel. All right, guys, thanks again. See you next time.